Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lorcanarama. I am your solo host tonight, Kelsey. My co-host Sabrina is not with us, traveling from Pro Play Summit Denver. Actually, she's probably not traveling. She's probably enjoying the mountains right now. I know I would be if I could stay there. Tonight, we are joined by two special guests, and I will pull them up now. Colorislaw from the stream Allies on the other side, and Xenulous from Team Maelstrom. Xenulous, welcome to the show tonight. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us, man. It's a good time.
Yeah.
So you guys and we were at Pro Play Summit Denver this weekend, and it was an eventful weekend. I know for me as the lead scorekeeper, everybody probably knows about the weekend I had with everything that happened because there were a lot of mad folks this weekend. Color, you were on the commentary team, and Xenulous, you were a player. So we're here tonight, folks, to just kind of talk about our weekend since we were all in the same place from a different perspective. Each one of us has a different perspective tonight. So that's kind of cool. So I will ask Color first. This was not your first gig as a commentator, correct?
Yeah, no, this was definitely more than the first time. Yeah.
Okay, right.
More than one, less than 100. So that's
less
good.
Than 100?
Yeah.
So
somewhere in that range.
So this event, with your experience commentating other events, how would you was there anything that stood out to you as part of the commentary team for this event?
Oh, the commentary, like the people that I was working with, like production, because that was one of the things. Was a lot of times when I do different events, the commentary team is production. Like it'll be like me and JDZ or like Kawa, and we're all kind of like in charge of it. Garrick doing the entire ink thing, but so this one was kind of interesting because it was a dedicated production team, which was 20 Lore, and then us as the commentary team, and we were all we had our jobs, so that was way different for me. It wasn't, us.
Go ahead.
Yeah, trying to do both. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, it wasn't us trying to do both. Like something exploded and we were like, normally something explodes, so we're like, okay, what do we do? So that was different.
I'll say this: those guys at 20 Lore, they are good at what they do, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's nice to have them to take away those technical worries, right? You can do what you do best, and that's talk about the game. Reach out to the people and communicate with them, and don't have to worry about all that technical stuff. I could tell you that, and we even talked about this before we started tonight. Like the technical challenges of just doing a stream, just like sometimes they make me just want to say, I'm done with it. I just,
Yeah.
And you lose your thought train when something goes wrong. But I got to listen in a couple times. Of course, I had my head down for most of the event, working, putting results in and things like that. But when things kind of slowed down, I would flip on the stream and listen to you all, as well as watch the match. And it was pretty neat. I have one of the things that I started doing in Fort Worth, and I carried over to this, is I like to see the different pairs, how they'll pair you guys up differently, right? And then and to see which ones you could tell, like, okay, these two really mesh, and these two, and it's not like you guys aren't friends or anything like that. I don't want to convey that at all. But as well as I do, like when you have a partner on the air, sometimes it just doesn't click, sometimes it does. But you all this weekend were like, you didn't miss a beat. That every time I tuned in, I never got that sense, and so my hat's off to you all. It was pretty good. So
that's awesome.
So
yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. Yeah, I got, I guess because of the delays, we got a lot more opportunities to kind of come on and entertain and do what we do best, which was really awful for the players because they were waiting, but kind of nice for us because that's what we do. We talk. We talk and we hang out and so I kind of, hopefully it took some strain off of the rest of everybody else because we were there to do what we do while you guys tried to fix and do what you were doing.
Yep. It was great as I was, there was one point when there was a delay well, there was more than one point, but there was one specific point where there was a delay, and I couldn't do anything about it. I just had to wait. Right. The servers went down. I just had to wait for them to come back up. And so I was looking at the chat in the stream, and people were like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And you guys were like, just like you said, you were a lifesaver in a way. You kept those folks occupied, and to the point that at one point I thought, we need them up on a TV screen to occupy the people in this venue too, so that they, and folks, I will say this about everybody in there. Nobody came to me and complained. I know that there were a couple that did complain about some things, and they had every right to. But there were things just outside of PPG events control. It wasn't on them. I just want folks to understand that things happen. I'm a software person. I build software. I deploy it for a living. Sometimes software goes down, and it happened at an unfortunate time for us at the event, and we lost some data because of it. But there were some lessons learned, and I will say this, with all that said, and this is the last time I'll speak to this. Everybody was talking about it's not going to be ready for Milwaukee and all this. The folks that do Card IEO were there with us. They saw what happened, and I know them personally. And I will tell you this: I have every bit of faith that it will be fixed for Milwaukee. So that's that. That's all I'll say about that. But yeah, it was a good weekend though overall. Other than that, at least for me, it was stressful for a moment. But back to the commentary. So when I came up, I said hi to you. That was the first time I'd met JDZ. So, that was kind of cool. I was like, I almost fanboyed for a moment, but I got my composure back. So,
it's kind of a shell shock for a lot of people. The most common thing we get is, wow, you're not as tall as I thought you'd be.
Right. Did they say that about you?
No, it's a JDZ.
Oh, the JDZ. Okay, I was say I know they don't say that about you because you are as tall as I thought you'd be.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, it's just a guy. Yeah, people walk up and it was really fun hanging out with him because like the Yu-Gi-Oh community was coming up to him and they're like, man, we miss you, and like and so we got to like kind of reconnect with people from like when he was doing YouTube with like Yu-Gi-Oh stuff and then like meeting more Lorcana people now that we're like out and about. So yeah, it was definitely a fun weekend, and I think that was one thing that was really nice, that the commentary team was huge, and I'm not used to that either. Like typically there's not as many of us, and so we don't get breaks. Especially anytime I've ever done commentary with JDZ, it's like we don't put a Be Right Back screen up. We just ride through the whole day. Like we're just going, and that doesn't give us really a lot of time to walk around and meet people and do stuff. And I will say the way that they had that scheduled, like a lot of us were like raring to go and like we want to do commentary, and then we were like, well, what do we do? Because we got this downtime, so we're like, let's just go meet people and hang out, and like and it was really cool. I guess I underestimated how many people that were going to be excited to see me and talk to me, which was really like I just wasn't expecting that. I'm just walking around. I'm just like, I'm just a dude, and people would just walk up to me and talk to me about my show and talk to me about this, and so I was like, oh, it's really cool. And then I got to play games with like Steve Warner and hang out, and so that's another thing that typically doesn't happen. I just don't have a ton of time for that part of the job, I guess, or not job. It's like that's the fun part. That's why you go to a convention. But because I've been doing commentary, I haven't gotten to do that as much recently. So it was neat.
That was the thing I like too. Like I noticed that about this commentary team. I've seen commentary teams in the past, and in Fort Worth they did a little bit too. And maybe I don't know if anybody said anything or if it was planned, but while you guys weren't broadcasting, there was more out and about mingling from the commentary team with the folks. I'd sit up on stage and I could see it. And, there's a sense of excitement when you guys walk out there, right? As you experienced, right? When they come up to you. And I thought that was pretty neat that you guys took the time to do that. And it's not like you're better than anybody else or anything, but you are, right? But,
but no, like I said, I said
that just messing, right? So,
anytime somebody be like, oh my God, hi, I'd be like, hi.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you're talking to me. Okay. Yeah. Or I don't know. It was definitely weird, but it was like like a good weird, like instead of walking through a giant room full of people and strangers, which is like my nightmare. I got to walk through a room and people would like be happy to see me, and which is wild. So,
Yeah. And Logan, I said this to Color before that I had to ask you about it. Like you have a calling card, right? With your look is your hat, right? So it's like you stand out, and not in a bad way, but like I know you. Like I look across the room and I go, oh, there's Xenulous, right? So it's like what brand? You got a favorite brand, by the way, for your hat? I gotta know. I need to know.
I only wear Neff beanies. Neff beanies are the best ones you'll ever get in your life. Okay. So like just as a quick fun story. Once upon a time, I was on vacation at an amusement park, and I was on a roller coaster, and I lost my beanie.
Oh man!
As soon as I got off of the roller coaster, I was like, I was with a group of like 3 people. I was like, I have to go to the mall, guys, and like we're actively at Disney. What are you doing? And I was like, I will be right back. I have to go get a beanie. It's kind of like a security blanket at this point.
I got you.
There are some pictures floating around, I think from Saturday or Sunday morning. I just gotten out of the shower. I just gotten out of the shower and I was walking around without my beanie on, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, this feels like I'm seeing something I'm not supposed to see."
They're literally taking pictures of you. I
understand. There was one day when I shaved my beard off, right, and I didn't tell my family I was going to do it, and I walked out the bathroom, and they were in the living room. And I have 3 older kids and my wife, and then my youngest daughter wasn't old enough to notice anything yet, but my 3 oldest kids and my wife it was silence in the room, and it was enough of a look for me to realize I'd made one of the biggest mistakes of my life. And so I've never done it since. They were like, and they told me you shouldn't have done that. I thought they were gonna have oh wow, look at you, you can see your face.
You're like, oh, your actual face, and you're like, oh, like, just put it away.
Yeah, they were like, exactly. They were like, she shouldn't have done that. So yeah, I keep it now. I won't do that anymore. So I can understand it, right? The beard is my security blanket now. So
it makes it easier to go out in public, man. I don't know.
It does. It's strange. I understand that. I totally get that. So I have about this weekend, right? So Xenulous, you played. I think when I talked to you, you were playing Blurple, right?
Yeah, that's what I played all weekend.
Okay. So, I don't know, how did it work for you? I mean, how was it?
No, so for the last, honestly, since the set came out, me and R&B and Humble have been working on the list that we ended up taking. And for the last 3 weeks, it's been doing really well. I won the first event I went to for the set, ended up getting my round 1 bye for the main event.
Mm-hmm.
Humble and R&B, they ran it at CCS. Humble ended up making top 4. R&B was X2, just right outside of top cut. So we made a single card change going into this weekend. The Friday event, I was able to make top 16 with it. And the Saturday event, I was X3 at the end of the day, which is still a pretty good record overall.
Yeah.
Had I won a die roll here or drawn an extra ramp card there, I think I would have made top cut Saturday as well. But that's card games. Sometimes you don't get exactly what you need when you need it. But I felt very confident in the list. I still feel really confident in the list. I might work on something else going forward, but I do think that overall I had a correct list for the weekend.
Okay. And so a question about it, like, I'll just say it. Did you have fun playing it? Like, and I say that in all seriousness, right? Because like, there's folks that there's this ongoing philosophy. We talk about it here at home about when I go to Milwaukee, I don't care if I have fun playing the deck. I'm going to take the best deck, And so, because you're playing for a lot when you go to these tournaments, right? You're not spending all this money to travel there and to go and play to just, not show, right? And so, was the deck fun for you to play? I know it was a good deck. Was it fun for you to play?
Well, no, that's a really good question. I do have fun playing Blurple in the set. It feels really, really reminiscent of sets 1 through 3 playing Ruby Amethyst. A lot of the decisions, especially in the mirror, or if you're playing against any other Amethyst deck, there are a lot of decisions that if you played in sets 1 through 3, the resource management feels really similar. The way you have to take control of the board feels really similar. The way you have to think about your tempo turns, when it's right to actually start questing out versus continuing to take out characters. I like those little things, especially when you're playing in the mirror. I like knowing this is the sequence of events that might be optimal and when to deviate from those things and try something new to maybe throw somebody off, or even, what ink decisions early influence from like the mid game to the late game. It feels little things like that also in sets 7 and 8 when you're playing Ruby Amethyst were really important too. What cards you inked in the early game really defined how your mid to late game went. So I don't know. I'm a masochist because I like control mirrors and things like that. And I don't really, it doesn't tire me out to do that. So yeah, I guess the long answer is I did have fun. And it's also a good deck. So
yeah, somebody in chat.
Monster. I'm just kidding.
yeah, right. So somebody in chat said winning is fun, right? And that's what everybody usually defaults to. It's always fun when you win, right? Sometimes it is. I'll say that for me. Sometimes it is. Like there's some decks that, yeah, I won, but I didn't really have fun doing it, And so, it's like discard, for example, back in the Bucky and Diablo days. Yeah, I won with it, but I didn't necessarily have fun doing it.
I did what I had to.
Yeah, right?
I did what I had to.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. So when I've answered this question in the past, a lot of people have always been like, well, what if I want to play something that's fun? And that's Big Thunder, by the way. Shout out to him. He's in the Maelstrom Discord and he's a subscriber. So he's a really great guy and a good friend. We've had this kind of conversation a lot in the Discord. There's some people who are like, well, I want to bring something that does both. I want to win and have fun. I'm somebody that has the most fun when I win.
Exactly. So, yeah. Well, that's why I asked the question, right? Yeah. So
when like I do have my pet decks and things that I would enjoy, like, for instance, Emerald Chromacon, it's my favorite card in the entire game. If I could play a deck consistently that I know that I have a good matchup spread with that card specifically, I probably would play that deck every time.
We'll talk after.
But unfortunately, right now, I haven't cracked something that I think does that has as good a matchup spread as Blurple does. I historically have been somebody who's flipped around from ink combinations. I've mained a lot of different ink combinations as the games have gone on, just depending on the ebbs and flows of the meta. If you enjoy a certain ink combination, you stick with it. I mean, there are people who've made careers off of the backs of it, right? You have Sailor and DKP that just pioneer Ruby Sapphire. You have Edmund Chu, who very consistently does Ruby Amethyst, along with Kendall Burnett, who also does Ruby Amethyst. Then you have R&B, who's basically made his entire name and career off of Sapphire Steel. You can do it, and you can be the diehard guy that goes for it and actually crack the deck if you spend hours on it. I don't know. Sometimes I like taking the path of least resistance.
I mean, yeah, there's deck builders, and then there's people that are able to sit there and understand the fundamentals of a deck and pick it up and be like, okay, I understand what this deck is trying to do. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to be very good at this. And I've noticed that definitely, especially kind of back to like what you're saying. People are like, oh, I like, like, oh, are you having fun playing this deck? And there's a lot of matches where sometimes I will see somebody decisively just brutalize their opponent, and th're playing Blurple, or they're playing the supposed like best deck, and I'm like, how did you feel when you did that? When you bounced their thing and took away all hope and watched the light leave their eyes? And they're like, it was awesome, it was amazing, and I'm just kind of like, you monster! All right, congratulations, let's go next. You know what I mean? Because it like. There's fun to be found in all kinds of different realms of it. It's kind of like what you're saying, like the really competitive players that are grinding and that they pick up these best decks and they move things around and then kind of shift the best deck with a few cards here and there to sort like what that week's meta is going to be, and then they crush, and then that's how they're having fun. And it's like the fun I don't know. I'm like, well, I'm stressed out of my mind. But like, and then other people are like, oh no, this deck is genuinely like I find joy when I play this. So there's just different ways to enjoy this game, and I think that's what I found out the most is people enjoy the game differently, and that's why it's so diverse.
Yeah, and that's why I asked the question, right? Is like trying to really get to Xenulous, right, and try to probe and find out what drives him, right? You know,
winning.
Yeah, winning, right? It's winning. Yeah, that's what's fun.
If Priorata Bucky was brought back tomorrow, I would play it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but you're like, we don't hear no morals. It doesn't matter. Winning is why we're here.
Yeah, the sad thing
it's
about
a game.
Bucky,
it's part of the game.
The sad thing about him is he can't be unbanned because they just eroded him. And so
yeah, he's eroded. Yeah.
Maybe that's not sad. I don't know. I personally, I'm an Emerald Amethyst fan. It's just right now the way that those two colors kind of mesh together kind of reflect my personality. I feel, in a way it's kind of strange. Magic, the game that shall not be named, is kind of like that. People will build decks to their personalities, right? You can see it when they played.
Don't say that.
Yeah, right.
That speaks a lot to her.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Like, mono black reanimator decks. Chill out.
Hey, I'm telling you, well, there's some people that are just like, you look at like, okay, for example, I didn't brought the game up. I just will go ahead and talk about it now. Blue red, which is a combination of chaos and control at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And so there's that that craziness that comes from that color combination. And we have that in Lorcana too, to some extent, I feel like, with some color combinations, and for me, Emerald Amethyst is kind of like, here's a toolbox of things, and just reach in there and grab the tool you need for the occasion, right? That's how I feel with that color combination. Yeah. Which I think is one reason why it never really stays at the top. It doesn't really have that like solid like line like a lot of other decks have, but it's fun. Yeah. To me, it's fun to try and find that tool for the right occasion. It's a good anti-meta deck, at least the way I look at it. So,
I mean, last set when we had the discard Emerald Amethyst, I mean, that was,
yep.
I think that was the most fun I've had playing a deck in a very long time. I'm also just a fan of birds in general. So when the majority of the deck was like 20 birds along with the discard synergy, which is another archetype I just enjoy, I had a lot of fun with it. Had a lot of success with it after the Texas PPG event. I topped a set champ, won a set champ, and then won another event with it. I liked it. But I also just am on the same boat as you. Emerald Amethyst has always been my favorite ink combination for the longest time. It's just finding the time to play it and finding the meta where it actually has the legs to stand up to the things that are, tier 1, tier 2.
Yep. That's where I have my fun in the game, other than with playing with my daughter, is trying to find that combination with that deck. And one day, mark me, we will find it. It's going to happen. They will print a card that's going to put it over the top one day, and I'll be there when it happens. So
the levers, I think, are still something that brings it up pretty close. The levers are very powerful. And then we have, weird tools still like Emerald Chromacon. We have the new Emerald Genie. That is a fun.
It's combat. So good and sealed. That card is another combat trick. And sealed.
Yeah. Yep. You got to quit talking about the Chromacon though, because that's my secret from Milwaukee. So. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be judging in Milwaukee, not playing, which is great. So.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. That was I had a ticket, and then I got selected as judge, and I threw my ticket back in the pool. And
nice. Someone out there be very happy for it, and then also you're very happy because you have your judging spot. So
exactly.
Congratulations.
I love it. I do. I really love being a staff at the events. It's not a power trip thing. It's just I really like talking with the players. That's it. Helping players have a good experience. I just enjoy that. So. Go ahead.
I would say I'll be playing in at the DLC, and it'll be my first like a big event in a really long time, and I'm like terrified. I'm like, do I bring puppies or do I actually try? Like, what do I do?
Oh,
How do I play this game?
Please,
I think the last big event
work.
I think the last big event she played in was DLC Vegas.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah, I mean that was the biggest one, like CCS, I think.
Yeah, okay. You played in CCS. I'm talking about just DLC levels.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So like, it's funny you brought up puppies because just last night I sat down and I go, something Steve told me, Steve Warner said, by the way, I got to play him in Pack Rush 2 this weekend and he smoked me. Now, unfortunately, I was putting up a good fight, but then the pack got really bad. Like I had three 7 cost unequal cards in my hand while I watched him just keep playing.
Bad. Yeah.
I know. I was just like, I was winning 5-3 at one point, and the next thing I know, the game was over 15-5. So, it was just like that fast. It was like I couldn't do anything. I was stuck on 5 ink and just couldn't do anything. But he said something. I got to also sit down and watch him play somebody else and talk to him a little bit about some design stuff, just picking his brain. And he was very gracious to talk about it. But I talked to him about the design space of the inkwell. And one thing he said was, of course, he'll always say, you got to be very careful with some things, that he was really concerned about the puppies in the inkwell. And I was like, I walked away, I came home, and then last night I was sitting down and Steve said he was very concerned about the puppies. Why? What does he see that I'm missing? So now I'm on this mission to try and see what he was afraid of. So
he's saying like the puppies in the inkwell and like the card that returns them out of the inkwell. That card, he was concerned about that as a mechanic.
Yes, he was worried about it. What I got, and I don't want to speak words into his mouth.
But, I was like, could you like repeat it? Because I'm so bad about these things. Because I'm like, well, hold on.
So the question I asked was, is there a particular area of design that piques your interest above any of the others in the game? I said, is it the discard pile, a player's hand, the inkwell? And he says, well, the inkwell, he says, you got to be careful with that. And he goes, we're very particular about, we don't want to mess with it. He goes, we do have Mufasa, right?
Right.
And then I brought up, and you have the puppies. And I said
the ink geyser.
Right.
That's fine.
Right. He said ink geyser, right?
You monster. I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then when I said puppies, he goes, yeah, I was really worried about the puppies and what they were going to do with the inkwell. And those were his words, and, because you can put the puppies in there and then you can look at them and you have the card that can look at them and bring a puppy out and then you can play it and stuff. And so, there's a whole lot of interaction going on with the puppies in the inkwell. And all he said was he had concerns about it. And, I didn't get a chance to pick him anymore because he had to finish smoking the player he was playing. So, But anyway,
I wonder if it was like puppies, maybe because it's a mechanic that allows you to look at your inkwell, and that's just inherently against the rules of the game.
I don't think it was that. I got the implication that he was worried about it, like messing with the power of things somehow. And I think.
Well, I mean, I was like, well.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm trying to figure out. That's why I'm trying to figure out what did I miss with it. I got to go look now. I got to mess around.
So I always like things that allow you to do things in the game that you're not normally allowed to. Just taking Emerald Chromacon, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very tricky card that just invites misplay.
It does.
Having a card that says, check your inkwell, find a puppy, like it's just different from all the other aspects of the game. Like you have things that interact with the inkwell, right? You have things like one jump ahead, how far I'll go, that just take the top of your deck, put it into your inkwell, or things like Hades or Into the Unknown that put a creature or put a character from the board into your inkwell. So having things that interact with multiple zones in the game inherently can just cause I don't want to say misplays, but can just cause issues. So that being something that's like, check your inkwell, find a puppy. It's one of those things that's just inherently against what you would normally do in the game. So it might be one of those things that just invite misplay, invite people asking questions.
Well, also too, like you could even just throw, I mean, I don't know why you would save a slot for that, but like you just throw that card in there because it allows you to check your inkwell.
Right.
Period. So even if there's just no puppy in it at all, you could just slam that thing into your thing and then just literally rip but are they dual ink? They're dual ink, but you'd have to play Amber Sapphire, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And ain't nobody gonna do that. So I was like, ain't nobody gonna do that just so they can check their inkwell. You know what I mean?
Well, I remember when it came up, there was the issue with the Lilo, right? That you could play her from your discard at the start of your turn.
Oh, Zombie Lilo! I was so excited about her.
And then there was the card that let you look at your inkwell, right? And there was ways that you could manipulate it, and can I make sure that I save my puppy card and not turn it sideways for Lilo, so that I can have it to have that extra ink later, so that's one area that brought up, like, it's like, well, can we do this? Well, yes, you can. And I can see where that's cause for concern, but it's just another area that a player gets to manipulate during the game, and not manipulate in a bad way. The whole game's about manipulation, right? It's just like, I'm manipulating the board state to my advantage. I'm manipulating your hand so you can't play,
Ursula's Cauldron is my favorite card, so I'll manipulate the top of my deck all day long.
I've seen that. I watched
very interesting.
One of your episodes. I remember I watched a friend of Allies on the other side. You got Merlin's College out on turn 1. And
I've done that a lot, to where people don't believe me now if I rip a Merlin's Cottage. They're like, did I sign up to play this game so I could just watch you play a turn 1 Merlin's Cottage? I was like, no, I just can't shuffle, I swear. So
I think it's funny
that was like, I think I was talking about that card on stream. I was like, I love the complexity that card brings to the multiplayer match, because it just takes the game and adds another level of strategy that you just normally wouldn't be thinking about. And I think actually, Zen, you were on an episode where I slammed a turn 1 Merlin's Cottage.
Yeah, I mean, it fundamentally changes the game, right? Because now everybody knows what everybody's drawing next.
Yep.
That's just another one of those cards. When it came out, I was like, this is interesting, just because it does something that nothing in the game lets you do.
Yep. Yeah,
and in multiplayer, nobody wants to take out that thing, so it just sits there and causes havoc, and there's so many cards that benefit from being able to see the top of your deck, like One Jump Ahead and like Oswald and things of that nature. So nobody in multiplayer, nobody wants to get rid of Merlin's Cottage.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. It's pretty cool, because when I saw it, like you said, Zen, when that card first came out, I saw it and I go, ooh, how can I abuse this card, right? But we didn't have really a strong multiplayer format at the time that
Mad Hatter's Teapot. That's how you. Sorry.
Yeah. I've watched. I've seen. I do have this question. And it came up the last episode. It's funny because I was sitting around, a couple of guys that I work with play Lorcana, and two of us actually travel together to go to events. And we talked about this with Heroic. And it was funny. I said something to him about it at work, and then I watched your stream and you guys bring it up. And when is One Jump going to be banned from Heroic?
I have, so there's 2 different ways to play the game. So basically, when it got introduced to me, I just heard about it generally. And so I didn't know that there was like a creator of Heroic or whatever. I just saw like a tweet and I was like, oh, okay, these are general rules. And then I found a YouTube video that had general rules. And so then when we went to build our decks and we were playing, I'm famed, like I played Commander. I played a ton of Commander. So like building these decks and all of that has been pretty intuitive for me. Not intuitive for everybody else because it's 100 cards and they all complain. But it's when I had the storyboard zone and the tax that goes into it, I just assumed that it's a +1, because they were like, oh, it's a +1 tax. And I was like, so I thought it was an individual tax for each card. Because in my mind, I was like, that seems, like if I play a card and then it goes back into the storyboard, it now costs +1. And so that's how I've been playing it. So like if you play your song, it goes back, it costs +1, but you haven't played your legendary yet, so that still costs 6 or whatever. But the way that I guess the official, even though it's an unofficial format, but like the majority, I guess, of people that do play, they play it to where the storyboard has 1 joined tax. So it's, if you were to say I was to play my song and it goes back to the storyboard, now my entire storyboard cost 1 more. So then my legendary, all of a sudden, instead of costing 6, even though I never played it, now it costs 7. And we played it like that, and everybody hated it. Just flat out. A lot of people that have tried it don't like it. They like it with the individual tax because you are able to utilize your storyboard more, which is inherently broken. But that's why we're playing it. Right. If we wanted to do something fair, we would play core constructed. We would play Infinity. We would play, you know what I mean? We would play these formats that are already balanced, that these game designers have taken forever to make sure that have a nice balanced line of play. And we would do that. But because we're all degenerates and we're playing competitively and like Zen is grinding and beating our heads up against these decks that make us want to quit the game, it's kind of cool to then play in a format where we can just goof off, you know? And so I found that the individual attacks for each card in your storyboard, yes, is broken, but it's way more fun. It's so much more fun to do the broken thing. And I think fortunately I play with high level, like I don't play with a ton of new players just because I think of just that was how I targeted it. I was like, I want it to be for competitive people, because if you say the word commander to a competitive player, Magic player, they throw up in their mouth. They're not going to play that format. They do not want to play a casual, social game with 3 of their friends. You know what I mean? They'd rather die. So this has been a way to just be like, hey, let's just goof off and try to do the most busted, broken, messed up combo that you've thought about with your teammates, and your teammates have been like, you're insane, we're not doing that, let's get our head in the game. So that's kind of like how I've wanted to throw it out there, is just I want people to do a busted broken thing. So I had one jump in the storyboard for a very long time, and then I was like, if I see this card again, I'm gonna die. So I guess it's not officially banned, but I will not be having it on the show anymore because I want to see other stuff. And that's kind of where I'm at, because we already know it pays for itself. It's like having a mana crypt on your storyboard. It's awful. Yep. It's awful. It's so bad.
I think there was the last episode, 3 of you were using it. And I was like, it's time to go.
Because I mentioned that it was going to be banned, and so we all just decided to go for it. Yeah, we were like, let's just go for it. And so we all kind of like really went in on that. But yeah, we will not be having one jump ahead anymore on the storyboard. Because at that point, why would you play any other Sapphire song at all?
Right.
Newsflash, you shouldn't. It's just that good.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, and you're looking at it. You always have enough ink, right? As long as you got that card around to just like keep feeding, right? Just keep feeding the ink well, and it's card draw for all intents and purposes, right? You just don't have to ink the card in your hand this turn. It just comes off the top. Especially when you have Merlin's College, you just now's the time to do it. I don't want that card.
We've got Merlin's Cottage, and then you have one jump ahead on your storyboard, and everybody's like, "Yo, this is broken." I'm like, "I know, stop, just don't." And then then it becomes like the mini game of who can get the most ink and who holds the highest record, which by the way is actually Fumbles. He holds the highest record for most cards inked. I think he got around like 36 ink. Close to 40. I have no idea. It was insane. And the reason he did is because he was playing Clarabelle with the Sapphire Steel Hey, like something consciousness, where when you play this card, you can basically ink your entire hand.
Mm-hmm.
So and then Morph was his ally. Or no, Hey was his ally, but he found Morph. That's what it was. He found Morph, ended up shifting Clarabelle early, and then he played Hey the next turn, and then he inked his whole hand, and he did that like so many times that he was just working with like 40 ink by the time we was done with it, and it was insane. And he's like, I guess I'll play one jump. I'm like, sure, play one jump for 8. Who cares?
For those listening, you hear this broken stuff, right? You got to go watch those videos, right? First of all, I really appreciate the fact that the camaraderie of everybody on there. You're right. I think you guys, you kind of hit a home run with that part of it. Like to see the competitive players, just chilling and having fun with the game, because that's, like you said about Magic, right? That line is just not crossed by competitive players. And to see that with this game, just to me, it's kind of special in a way. It speaks volumes to the community and the type of competitive players we have that are willing to go and do that and to have that fun and do that. And so honestly, I'm not saying that facetiously or anything like that. I mean, I'm dead serious about that. That was something that when I first watched the first video, I was like, oh, these guys are really having fun. They just kind of made my heart swell a little bit, you know? And so so I'm gonna watch all the videos. And so I went back to the first video and then went through them, and it was pretty neat. And a lot of the casters too that you have on there, like I've watched their shows and stuff, but you get to really see their personalities come out when they're playing the game. You know,
Yeah.
there's my streaming personality, and then there's my playing personality. You know, this sweet, innocent person you find out is really ruthless, you know, when given the opportunity.
Right? Yeah. There's been definitely some people where you're like, oh my gosh. And then like, you know, we had, I think, even I had like Taryn on there, who's like a judge. And I know you judge with Taryn probably many times. And I loved having her on there because also she was on there with Jack Shadows, who is a phenomenal player. He's an amazing player. And at the same time, like for the longest time, I didn't, you know, I thought of them separately, as Taryn is like this amazing judge, and then Jack Shadows is like this amazing player. And then like he had his deck built, and then she was just like, I just want to play all my friends, you know, like I just want to like, that's what she wanted to get out of the game. And I think that was really cool for me to see, because I was like, oh yeah, like again, there's so many layers and ways to play this deck. So she just came on and played like the characters that she wanted to play. And then I was like, at one point I was like, please, Taryn, please, do you have any removal? And she's like, no, not in this deck. I was like, like, you know. So yeah, like there's
go ahead.
Oh no, it's just like it's been really cool. Like, you know, people like Xenulous and people like R&B get on there and they're doing unholy things, and you're just like, wow, I didn't even know the game could do this. And then there's like other people that are like, I just wanted to play the characters that I never get to play. I was like, that's cool. I like that.
So I mean, like, also just to touch on your point, I think the Lorcana space is kind of unique in that a lot of the top players, I mean, we just kind of know each other and have since we've started having big events. I mean, the very first Charlie's Collectible show, I was good friends with Zach Bivens and Edmund Chu and Kindle. No, I'm not. So like through the years, we've just kind of stayed friends like that. So when we get on a show like Allies, where the goal is kind of just like, okay, see if you can do something broken and just have fun and chill out. It's a different environment. Not that we aren't like that in person, but it's just kind of a different avenue of like, oh, this is just for fun. We're playing for brownie points and just to see if we can pop off and do something that's cool.
Would you, this is a loaded question, all right? It's for both of you, right? Would you ever want to see Heroic be supported as a tournament format in one of these events?
So I will answer first because she's probably gonna have a better answer. I'm not really, and never have been in any card game, an alternate format player. Whatever the core competitive, like whatever tournaments are being ran, that's like the main event for that. That's generally what I gravitate towards. It doesn't matter what rotation happens or what sets are legal. Whatever the main core constructed thing is happening in an event. I played the old World of Warcraft physical card game for years, and then Hearthstone for that's inception. I'm always just a core constructed person, so that's where all of my energies and attention goes. So
you're gonna have to get on the Infinity train.
Yeah, I do have to get on the Infinity train because there's an official DLC that's on Infinity, so I'm gonna have to really buckle down and get in that format. But I mean, just while alternative formats I think are cool and I think are necessary, because I genuinely don't think that there's any wrong way to play the game. I don't want to come off that way. It's just not for me personally.
Yep. Okay. How about you, Color?
So in terms of that, like I'm completely opposite. I love alternative formats because I like that the game is designed in a way that you can't, like, I don't have to play it this exact way. It still works. And I know for it to be like a official format, they have to test it and make sure that it's going to like deliver a nice even play experience across the board. So like then Pack Rush, they're like, okay, actually no, we can play this. This is a fun, quick way to play the game. It doesn't break itself. Like it doesn't create an unfun play experience for people. And like how they're pushing for sealed, and now the game is being designed. But I am like obsessed with limited and sealed and like drafting. That is my absolute favorite, because I love the chaos of opening and just doing what you want, and I love a singleton format because I think it's so interesting in like a deck building construction, you know. And like where heroic is kind of like that because you're grabbing a bunch of singleton cards and you're making a deck, and whatever you draw is whatever you draw, and like, you know, you have to factor in alternative forms of card draw and removal and things like that. So like I love that format of things. But as far as a officially supported, I would love it to be officially supported. I would love for it to be widely spread. I'd love for a lot of people to know about it because I think it's super fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got like a really cool, like it's got a high barrier to entry because you're like, if you're asking a new person, I need you to get 100 Disney Lorcana cards. Like that kind of sucks, you know? So, but I would love for people to do that because I think that there's enough variance and enough chaos in it that it would be fun at all levels, like social to, you know, maybe more competitive. Again, that's like a rule zero conversation. You have to find 3 like-minded people that will want to play this game with you. But so it, like, long-winded, I would love it to be officially recognized and like, hey, this is the rules and this is how you play it, and like get in your LGS and play it. But like at a competitive level, at maybe like a DLC, like no, literally no, like absolutely not, because like winning multiplayer sucks. Like I'm not even gonna lie, I anytime I play, I am not there to win, and if I am trying to win, I am all of a sudden just not having any fun at all. It's not my favorite thing because, but like if they had side events where they're like, hey, you can play heroic in a 4-pod and everybody gets a pack, and like we'll teach you how to play or whatever, I think that would be lovely because then you could just play in this goofy environment and whatever happens happens and there's chaos and it's fine, and you're not trying to do anything other than just enjoy the game for what it is. And that's kind of the vibe I bring onto my show too, because if I tell these idiots that they need to win this game, they're gonna, oh god, bad things are gonna happen, you know.
Cool. Turn 1 Diablo, turn 2 shift Diablo, sing 1 jump ahead.
Yeah, and you're like, what are you doing, you monster? You know, and it's like, oh, but when I'm like, hey, think of a thing that you want to do. Like what, like, have you ever read a card and you're like, this card is awesome.
Yep.
And then you haven't gotten to put it in any single deck. Build a deck around that card. See if you can draw it. See if you can find it, you know, like, and a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to be able to like play, you know, Anno that like exerts everything, and then I want to play Taka immediately after, and I want to wipe everybody's board with Ana and Taka. It's like,
that's awesome.
Do it then. Let's do it, you know? And so that's kind of like the vibe is, so if we were to do that at a competitive supportive DLC level, it's just like, I think it puts the saltiness in it that I'm trying to completely remove out of it. Like, you know, but again, like maybe like a officially recognized, everybody gets a participation pack. That would be just the coolest thing ever, I think, because it's an enjoyable format, personally.
Yeah, I think it would be cool as a side event. A side event where you don't have to worry, because politics gets involved, and then all of a sudden, you know, if prizes are, you know, involved, and you want to avoid that. But I like the idea too, like you said, you see this card. It's funny you bring up the Ana, because back when the genie came out that said
yes, and the Tinkerbell. So you play the Tinkerbell, and then you play the genie, and then you exert it, and now you've like stacks your opponent out of it.
It's stasis, the old stasis, you know, deck from Magic. You know, just lock your opponent down, and I'm sorry you can't have fun playing, but I am. So, you know.
Exactly.
You know, right.
And that's the kind of stuff that you can do in Heroic, because the games take so long and then they space out. And again, like kind of what you said, though, to your point of the politicking, sometimes you just win off the back of being really good at talking, you know?
Yep.
And
I saw that in your last episode. So
wait, which one was that?
That was the one that you had the champions on. So
with R&B and JDZ and
yep. R&B
Garrett,
was just
poor Garrett.
Yeah, he was distracting everybody, and then all of a sudden, game over.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And I think that if it was like officially recognized and like you won, like you're like, oh, it's a 5K or somebody won, you just, it's like who becomes the best at talking and manipulating a situation, when like a lot of TCG players just aren't good at that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I think
having it supported officially would be kind of cool, because then you could, kind of like what the game that shall not be named did. They started printing cards specifically for that format that are purposefully broken, you know, for
and
that
you only
format.
play it in that format,
right?
Yeah,
And it's restricted.
I mean,
it makes
like,
it a lot of fun, right?
Look, man,
good and bad,
we can look at so many Emerald cards right now that
Yeah.
say each opponent, and like that's
Yeah,
already
I
just
know,
a
right?
problem for multiplayer formats.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that is another thing too, is like I personally don't like building a 4 of deck for a multiplayer experience. I know that there's like a way to do it. Like I guess there's a way to do that, obviously. Like, oh, this is my multiplayer deck, and I've seen tons of lists and I've seen tons of people doing that. But I'm like, I don't know. I like the chaos of the singleton format, because then once I build a deck, I can play it a bunch of times, and the variants are, if I can shuffle, which I can't really shuffle, but you can keep that deck and play it 20 times, and each game is going to be different.
Yep.
And I think that, like, you know, with the 4 ofs deck, once you play the deck and it does the thing, you're like, kind of, all right, it did it. I did the thing.
So do you guys have, you know, you talked about how like you guys kind of tweak the rules a little bit with the storyboard. Like, do you have the official rules that you guys use anywhere, or do you just use those ones that came out from Heroic and that's your only tweak to it? You know, is that storyboard?
That's the only, everything that we do is the exact same. The ban list is the exact same.
That's
like
what I
I left the ban list open, you know, the first game, and immediately Shadox plays A Whole New World and JZ plays Be Prepared. And I was like, bro, these are awful to have on your storyboard. They're banned. And then I looked at the official rules and they're banned.
They're banned. Right. Yep.
Yeah. So
but she does have a way to look at just the general rules on her channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I meant to have that up on the screen. I apologize for not. I was going to have that prep tonight, but you know, me and the daughter got in the house like 10 minutes before we went live. So you know, and so
let's say if you don't mind, I can throw it in chat real quick.
Sure, you could do that. Go right ahead. And when I cut the video for YouTube, I will put your contact information in the description and everything for folks, and point everybody there to your stream and everything. So yeah, I think it would be cool. Let them, if they would. I don't know, and I don't think they're ready for that yet. They got, and you mentioned limited. I did ask Steve about that when we were sitting down. I go, when you guys did rotation, I said, were you specifically targeting limited with some of these choices you made? And he goes, yes. And he goes, and he said this, and he says, and we have some new things coming out specifically for limited. And that's all he would say.
Excited.
That's all he would say. I don't know what it is. I don't have the scoop on anything. I'm just saying that's what he said. You know, so that I got excited to hear that they're honed in on it. So,
well, I will say, like for this set, it's felt like a much more enjoyable pack opening experience, just in general.
Yes.
But also, a lot of people have said that the limited experience is so much better this set, because overall there's a lot more synergy, and I feel like in past sets we haven't really had that. You couldn't really open a random pack and just feel like, oh, I could realistically do something cool with this. But I feel like this set you can, because you can open a random pack and you can get things like Smash, Mob Song, Genie, and then like just a solid amount of vanillas, like Winnie the Pooh, Honey Wizard, just a solid body. There's a solid amount of 1-drops that you can just get out. So I don't know. I feel like going forward, and they definitely said this, I don't officially know where they said this, but going forward, I think they're trying to make limited and just the pack opening experience a lot more enjoyable.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they said at least set 11 for sure is definitely geared more towards limited, the limited experience. And I know that Brennan DeCandio is a big, you know, drafting kind of sealed limited person. So I think that was like one of the things is definitely when Disney Lorcana came out, you know, the old, you know, Magic players are like, well, why can't I draft this? And people, they were like, well, were we supposed to make you be able to draft this? And we're like, yes, please. We want to buy more packs. We want to open them and we want to draft. I don't know why, but it is a very fun, for me. I love that. Like even when I Even when I like stopped playing Magic, I would play Commander because it's just like a social thing. But if I was going to go to an event, I wanted to do pre-release. I wanted to do draft. I wanted to do the sealed. That's what I did and what I really, really loved. And then, in this game, it's just kind of been lacking. And that's why actually at PPG on Sunday, they were laughing at me because they're like, oh, I don't know how many of the sealed games we're going to cast. And I was like, I'll do all of them. Let me in there. I'll do every single one of them. And they're like, what? And I'm like, no, let me in there. And like, it's just, I love it. And that was another thing too that I just wasn't prepared for, I think, is because like I've played it and I'm like, okay, I know what it's like when I've done pre-release and I'm like, this is it. But like the people that like once we started getting the top tables and then those later rounds of people that were just like winning, you could see the patterns, you could see which were bombs, you could see the synergies that people went after, you could see the traps that people fell into because they like maybe they opened too many shifts with too many shift targets and they thought they were going to be too cheeky, but like it's a 60 card deck, you're not going to draw, you know what I mean? Like all of that stuff that goes into the decision process, like once you pull your cards and then you build your deck, being able to see that and to like see that in an actual like 5K tournament structure, I was like beyond excited. They're like, I don't know if I feel like casting. I'm like, I'll do it. I want to do it. Let me talk about all the weird cards that have been in bulk boxes for the last 2 years. It's me. I'm so I don't know. That again, that's just something I'm really, really excited about for the future of the game.
I think when they did sealed at Worlds, they opened that can of worms, right? And said, yeah, this is how important this is to us, that we're going to let our players who are playing for the world championship prove themselves in this format. And to essentially, whether you agree or disagree with it and how they did it, the fact that they were bold enough to do it shows that at least they, when they talk about having this focus on it, coming up, you can see, okay, if they're going to do that again, right, put it on the world stage, then think of how much effort they would probably put into the design to make that just this challenging experience for those people to find those things on that level, which I thought was kind of neat, again, that they did that. And it was fun to watch. And like you said, when you get to the top tables, you see the patterns start to merge out. And that's one thing I've always liked about sealed. I said this to some friends the other day, with Lorcana until just this past weekend, and everybody's, it's been like a rock, paper, scissors thing, right? Format. And sometimes I don't like sitting down and being the rock to somebody's paper. I hate that,
That's why, yes, exactly why I love limited.
Yeah. And so, but when you get into limited, if I lose in limited, is because you were a better player than me, more than likely.
Yes.
More than likely.
More than likely. Yes.
You always have the random dude who opened 2 Dumbos and just all the premium removals, and you're just like,
you just
cool,
gotta shake your head when that happens and just.
But the outliers of that are so few and far between. I absolutely agree. Like going into Worlds, helping Sailor and Wonderland prepare for that. We put as much time into the sealed portion as we did into the constructed portion for getting the decks together. It was absolutely a team effort of us, ranking cards. If we see this is like an absolute must pick. If we see this is what you need. If these are possible synergies to go for.
Tier list,
yeah. Like we had tier lists of cards, and the tier list shifted if you got certain pieces compared to other things.
Yeah, like a build around or this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, no, I love.
So that's what we spent like a lot of time on, because going into the Worlds format, us as a team, we kind of recognized, because it was the earlier rounds, we almost put more stock into the limited rounds than we did the sealed rounds. Because if you started off 3-0, you were almost cruising for the rest of the event.
Yeah. It was
that's actually, I was gonna say Sailor and Dave Solberg, Attack for Two, actually did a tier list, I think, of cards when I think it was Raina Jafar came out. I don't think they, obviously it was only 33, but when Raina Jafar came out, they came through and basically they just sat there and they're like, okay, this is A tier, this is fringe playable, this is this. When they start doing that in like limited, like tell Sailor to get onto that. Even if the video is 4 hours long, I will listen to every second of it, because that is my favorite thing, is to listen to people like Sailor and Attack for Two and Dave Solberg just evaluating cards in, like, obviously in a core constructed format back in Rain of Jafar, but now you're going to be able to do that in like a limited kind of sealed perspective, and I cannot wait because that is the most fascinating thing in the entire world to me. Is just being able to read the card and be like, oh well, like, and like you said, this is a must pick, this is a build around, this is like, this is a fringe playable, this is a piece of cardboard that we don't talk about. You know what I mean? Like it's like just fascinating.
Oh, it's cool. I can't wait to see. Yeah. So, all right. We're coming up on my cutoff, right? Because I got this hour block. So I got something for you guys. I kind of gave you guys a warning ahead of time. What we do with everybody here. And I have a card. And so if you'll check out the stream, let me see if I get it pulled up for you guys. Here we go. Let me know when you can see it. I'll go ahead and start reading it for other folks.
Oh, come on. I know.
Yeah, you probably know this one because of the heroic format, right? So the card is an emerald card, emerald action card.
I know what it is.
Remember who you are. It is 4 costs, uninkable. So Color, if you know what it is, let's see if Zen can get it then. So
okay.
What does this card do?
I'm so terrible. Okay. I think I'm wrong, but is it you draw as many cards as your opponent has?
Okay. Color?
Yeah, it basically chosen opponent. And you're like, choose. Oh wait, hold on. Let me see if I can think of the wording of it.
You felt so confident a second ago.
Well, no, because I was like, well, because you basically said what the card does, but essentially I was like trying to figure out the wording because it's like, does it say like, is it choose opponent and then draw up to as many cards as they have, or the wording is very important. And now it.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
If chosen opponent has more cards in their hand than you,
that's
draw cards until you have the same number.
That's what I say. I was like, okay, because Disney Lorcana doesn't really target. Yeah, okay. Right. So they're like, chosen opponent if because there's that if clause. Okay, all right. If chosen opponent has more cards in hand, draw until
great card. Starting to see it show up in some Chromicon decks.
Hilarious card to happen too, especially in this set. I mean, because card draw is such a premium this set, right? So if you just throw 2 of these in your deck and it's a Clarabelle deck, then you're just kind of like balancing yourself on both sides. But
back when
shooting yourself in the foot too.
When Clarabelle first came out, this card was in the set too. I remember building a Sapphire Emerald deck, and I had this and Clarabelle in it, and I never cared about having cards ever again. I would just ink as much as I could.
Which one did I find?
Yeah. And then I took it out, and it wasn't as fun anymore. But so anyway. All right. So I want to thank you both for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. Especially I kind of did it on short notice with you both, and you were very game and willing. So you have my eternal gratitude for that. So thank you very much. If you ever want to come back, just say so. I'm sure I will see you guys again. Milwaukee is the next event I'll be at. I'm pretty sure I'll see you there. And for those of you who have not seen Allies on the Other Side, please go to YouTube, check out those videos. Xenulous, do you have a channel? You're just there. You're just everywhere.
He's just everywhere all the time.
It's like every time I turn on somebody's stream, you're there, so.
I did have a joke made about me in Fort Worth. They were like, he's the globetrotter. Every big event, he happens to be there. I just like playing the game, man. I try to be where people are playing the game. But no, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Xenulous. I try to stay active on both of those platforms.
Okay.
And also in the Maelstrom Discord. If you're game to come say hi and just say hi to the team or play some games or whatever, the Maelstrom Discord is where I spend most of my days in general.
Okay. Color, you can go ahead and plug what you want to plug.
Just follow me on YouTube. It's Colorislaw, and then Instagram, Colorislaw, and the number 1. So just Colorislaw 1. And same on Twitter. And I'm on there, and I talk too much. And I enjoy talking about this game or, different alternative formats. Yeah, Xenulous doesn't like alternative formats. I won't shut up about alternative formats. That's kind of, kind of my thing, I guess.
That's great. And I'll put both of your information, and for folks that are listening, I'll put it in the description on YouTube in case you didn't catch it. So thank you everybody for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed or followed, please do so. Check us out on YouTube. We're Lorcanama, and we'll see you all next week. Happy questing.